What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Singles action on YGO Pro. We got Bergastema, or I guess technically that's not correct. It's Paleozoic in the TCG because they changed the name, versus them there Shadow Trains. And it's really cool that Shadow Trains are finally playable because of Dragons of Legends. They pretty much got their last card. They have, I think they've got a card in, they've got some cards in Dark Illusion as well. I know that the Rail Cannon came out in that, as well as Revolving Switchyard, if I'm not mistaken, and I think another card. So we can finally play trains after all this time waiting. It's a shame that by the time we finally got them, there's no more construct. But to be honest, the card that actually has the most synergy and like with the trains is actually Shikanaga, because Shikanaga is a level 10. So, you know, the like trains are all, they revolve around like level 10s and whatnot, being able to like exceed into Rail Cannon, which is like a really good card, especially if you have Duracrane. It's like almost broken then. But guys, Bergastema or Paleozoic is no deck to sleep on. I don't think the deck is like that good right now, but I think when Invasion Vengeance comes out in November, and when they get Trito, this deck is going to be actually kind of scary. So, I mean, let's go ahead and play, and let's show you guys what exactly happened in this duel. So this deck starts out with just a common set forward. This is actually really common in Bergastema. Like, mainly everything you run in this damn deck is a trap. You run a lot of traps that just trigger so that you can get your guys from the graveyard, things like Jar of Greed. You just want to be able to constantly activate traps so that your Bergastemas can be summoned back. You know, they're unaffected by monster effects when they're summoned this way. They're kind of small, but as long as you exceed with them, they will go back to the graveyard. You just have to make sure that they don't leave the field when they're just like, don't let them get ran over or whatever. So anyways, Trains didn't open up with the greatest play ever. He runs into a Dupe Frog, which is another good card in his deck because most Bergastema are going to run like frogs. He activates his Destiny draw, and then he activates Jar of Greed. Okay, so he's able to go into his Exceed, and he's able to get another monster on board, and he just keeps on summoning. My goodness, he is just going in. Now at this point, because he has so many level 2 waters on field, he can actually go for Treat Toad and just like, look at this guy go off, man. You just have double, like you can get double Treat Toad. This is only his second turn, and like he already has double Treat Toad. Now let me just pause. At this point, what do you guys do in Yu-Gi-Oh? Other than tribute for a Lava Golem to get both treat, like if you activate any spell or any trap, any monster effect, you know it's going to get negated by Treat Toad. And you know, like, he's probably just going to add a frog back or something like that to his hand. Or he's probably just going to be able to, you know, like, even if Treat Toad didn't summon a frog from the deck, which obviously he's probably just going to get some swap frogs or whatever. But even if you just had to deal with this field and nothing else, like, this would be incredibly hard for most decks to deal with, especially considering he has Dimension Barrier set. So if you're playing a Pendulum deck, obviously he'll just call Pendulum. If you're playing like a Fusion or an Exceed deck, you're not going to be able to use those either. So that's obviously, well, maybe Exceed, but if you're playing like a Synchro or a Fusion deck, you're not going to be able to do those. So summons a copy of Swap Frog and a copy of Dupe Frog. He activates Shadow Fusion, but get wrecked, mate. He flips over Dimension Barrier. He's like, Fusion summon. Now he obviously can't fusion. Keep in mind, he could have obviously just negated that. He could have given up his Swap Frog. He could have just set that copy of you know, Shadow, what's it called? The Shadow Fusion. And this guy can't do anything. He can't normal summon. The Soul Charge in his hand is super dead. Now he summons a Sky Cavalry, and this is probably the OTK. Well, not necessarily an OTK because he was at 4,000 life points, but it's definitely game. And it's really interesting because I feel like Paleozoic is a deck it can be kind of slow, and it does rely on traps pretty much at all stages of the game. But it's a deck that when it gets steam, it's actually really good. I think Treat Toad made this deck like a lot more viable than it was. And man, I don't know, it might be time to bust out like the Denko Sekas again, because Royal Decree doesn't completely stop this deck because they can still activate trap cards, which means you can still summon your like Paleozoics from the graveyard. And if you can still summon them from the graveyard, then you can still make Treat Toads, and you can still make your Exceeds, and your Exceeds can blow shit up, and you can still do things. So even Royal Decree doesn't stop this. Denko like definitively just says, no, you're not going to play Yu-Gi-Oh anytime today. You can't activate them. But this is just a replay showing you how potent like Paleozoics can be once they get Treat Toad anyways. Before they get Treat Toad, there's no reason to really fuck with them. But if you're looking to, you know, build the deck, start picking the stuff up now. But you're not going to be able to really play it until Invasion Vengeance comes out. And we still don't have all of them in the TCG. So maybe we'll get some more imported in Invasion Vengeance. But I just wanted to show you guys exactly how this deck rolls. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that as well.